Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. We're back with Bretonnia, going to be taking on the Dwarves. This is not one of the replays from the Ever-Chosen Invitational, which I got owned by Shetland 2-0 today. Well, I say owned. Both the games I feel like were pretty decent. I will be doing an in-depth analysis of those games and posting them on my channel, pointing out the mistakes I made, what I did well, how I can improve, and so on. But tonight I'm very tired. Pretty much as soon as the tournament was done, I left for work, and I just barely got back, and it's very late now. So, anyway, just going to record this quick one and go to bed. This is actually the build that I was thinking of bringing against Shetland if we had ended up matched up Bretonnia versus Dwarves. So I was trying out some different builds, so let's take a look here at what we've got. King Lewin Leon Kerr up in the air. We've got a Damsel Lore of Life, as well as a unit of Royal Hippogriff Knights. Plenty of cav as well, questing knights, companions of Quenelle, and more questing knights here. So the questing knights going to be kind of the frontline cav, if you will. We've also got Knights of the Realm, more Knights of the Realm. So there's our flanker force. We've got some peasant mobs for some extra hit points as well. And that's pretty much it for my build. Oh yeah, also the very cost-effective Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis, one of my favorite cheap units of cav. Cheap-ish. I mean, they're 850, which is not terribly cheap, but it's actually really good for what you get out of them. That Frenzy, good charge bonus, really nice combat stats for the price. 40 attack with that Frenzy up and 36 defense. Very cost-effective unit at flanking, getting into opponents' artillery, you know, shutting down skirmishers. They can even shut down elite tier skirmishers with their decent melee attack and charge bonus. So yeah, you can see Lewin taking some shots here. We do pop that lion shield to help mitigate some of that damage, just kind of distracting a little bit here. The peasants also doing their duty of catching cannonballs with their faces. My opponent had kind of pulled more downhill here. We're fighting on Norden, which has a lot of hills, ridges, and forest, so there's lots of terrain for me to utilize to block his shots. You saw I kind of brought my knights up and around here, and we use this big hill with the forest to advance through so that we're not going to be taking as much damage from the artillery there. My opponent does have a cannon and an organ gun, so pretty decent. Lewin taking some shots there, and once the handgunners, or sorry, the Thunderers open up on him, he'll definitely take some shots. Very nice Rune of Wrath and Ruin there. Going to slow him down and make him continue to take those shots. Pretty rough for me, but you can see we brought in the cav force. Since my opponent really hasn't responded with his main line, we're just going to charge straight into the side of these Longbeards here. I guess I didn't really go over my opponent's build, but he does have a front line of Longbeards, 2 Giant Slayers, 2 Runesmiths, and a Rune Lord. Couple of Thunderers, the cannon, and of course the organ gun, which just got rear charged here by those companions, the defenders here, the Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis. Very cost-effective use of them getting in here. I mean, obviously the Giant Slayers will tear them to shreds, but they are able to shut down that organ gun momentarily and definitely get some good value there. The Royal Hippogriff Knights come in after the engagement started and just kind of pummel a unit of Longbeards here. They do have the Master Rune of Oath and Steel, though, giving them a bit of extra armor. So we're going to pull back up into the air, not actually doing as much damage as I would have hoped. But this side, on the other hand, is going pretty well. We're able to start to get some good damage here. Companions of Quenelle and other units going to pull back around, you know, kind of for another cycle. Lewin comes in and drops that Sword of Corone here to lower the melee defense of all the troops in this pocket, and he's trying to goon this Runesmith here, because if we can take the Runesmiths off before they use all their Runes of Wrath and Ruin, that's going to be very beneficial for me. Lewin's a little bit isolated here, so we're going to come in and support with the Royal Hippogriff Knights. I do think this is one matchup where the Royal Hippogriff Knights can be pretty decent at dealing with the armored Dawi infantry. Other matchups like Chaos, you're just going to face too much cost-effective anti-large, I think. Dwarfs do have some pretty cost-effective anti-large, but you can see I'm able to just kind of envelop my opponent's formation here, and this is one of the things I'm going to be going over when I talk about my Ever-Chosen Invitational games, but you see how most of my cav are all unified in one big blob here. A lot of you will have seen in my round 2 game, Bretonnia versus Beastmen against Shetland, I didn't really do this, and I think going back, and I've already watched the game, you know, once or twice since we played, and I think this was one of my biggest mistakes. Again, I'll be pointing that out when I actually do cast that game, but keeping your cav all in a big kind of death blob like this is very important. You can see I'm constantly cycling in and out, but I'm always cycling to the same point here, so that's going to give us the most efficiency with Earthblood. It's also just harder for units to do attacks when they're surrounded by cavalry models with higher mass and, you know, able to knock them around and so on. You can see Lewin coming in for another timing charge here. Knights of the Realm also coming right in his wake here. More Knights of the Realm hitting from the other side here, while the questing Knights pull back around for another cycle. The peasant mobs are honestly very cost-effective in this situation, where they're just kind of holding the dwarf infantry here, more or less, just kind of clogging things up a little bit, and also distracting their attack animations. You can see one unit of dwarf warriors gone, Longbeard's just about down, more giant slayers getting pretty low on HP. Balance power still relatively even, but starting to creep more and more in my favor as the runesmith is getting a little bit surrounded here by the defenders of the fleur-de-lis. King Lewin is approaching his healing cap, though. He's taken a lot of damage, been able to regenerate most of it, but these Royal Hippogriff Knights also doing quite well. I've been dumping regrowths into them whenever I can, just because they're obviously very expensive unit here, and they can take a bit of damage, but with proper healing, especially if you heal them before they drop any unit models, it's very effective. They have unfortunately dropped a single unit model. They start out with 6, they're down to 5 unfortunately, but yeah, you can see questing Knights getting routed off a little bit here. We are going to drop an Earthblood to try and keep all 3 units in the fight here. One of them actually, only one of them routing off, but my opponents had these gyros in the air firing away, and they've done some pretty good damage, but we've been able to just heal through most of it. Lewin coming around for another timing push on this Rune Lord here. Going to get some really good damage done. A very nice attack there and knock the Rune Lord over. This is also going to kind of fix a lot of my opponent's infantry as they kind of blob in around Lewin. So we're going to pull him back up in the air. These gyros actually come down and try and get on the damsel in combat, which is an interesting play. But you can see Peasant Mob's going to come in, and then this big blob that I've created, I'm just going to come straight in with a brutal charge with these Royal Hippogriff Knights, and they will do a ton of damage in this situation. Also rear charges incoming with some of the other units of Cavs, so let's grab some more cinematics as the Companions of Quenelle come in here. We've got Knights of the Realm in here as well, so the last stand of the Dawi just continuously getting pummeled by, you know, charges from every angle is eventually going to wear them down here, and you can see most of the Dawi infantry getting very low. There are still a couple of Longbeards with a bit of HP left, and one Runesmith has hardly been touched, but at this point, you know, we're getting to the point where we can start to really focus aggressively on my opponent's characters with Lewin, now that most of the supporting units are gone, especially the Giant Slayers, which are obviously very scary. We've been able to deal with them just through sheer attrition here. Multiple cycle charges, and once again dropping that Sword of Crone, which again, the melee defense debuff and the armor debuff both are very pertinent in this particular matchup, and helping your other units perform well. So you can see your Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis still online, just multiple alpha strikes. This is the true alpha strike, just this charge from multiple directions here, completely enveloping what's left of the dwarf formation. You can see the Slayers are very few in number and quickly dwindling. The rest of the dwarf infantry have been routed off, and it's just the heroic units still online, which with their melee defense debuffed in particular from that the Sword of Crone there, they will take quite a bit of damage. But anyway, let's fast forward a little bit through this late game as we kind of grind it out, and Lewin should come back around to finish things off here. Yeah, Lewin and the Hippogriff Knights coming back down to finish things off with the dwarves. Heroic units. Yeah, Rune Lord gonna get pummeled around a little bit, and I guess we learned something today, that chivalry is better than runes. No, a little bit, but definitely the terrain favored me greatly here. This map is one of the worst for direct line of sight artillery. I mean, my opponent deploying in this low ground here did give a pretty nice line of sight, but this entire hill that I was able to maneuver over without taking any damage, that was a huge part of my success here. The fact that pretty much all of my cav got to that front line engagement without having taken any damage, so we were able to pretty much completely negate the advantage of this cannon and the organ gun to a degree, as well as the gyrocopters. All 3 of those units could have potentially done damage to my knights at a distance and taken down a few of their unit models before they got into combat. Unfortunately, or rather fortunately for me, we were able to get some terrain advantage there, but yeah, in terms of the army breakdown here, King Lewin racking up 32 kills himself and also going very heavily after the dwarf leadership, which is always important. We're able to take down one runesmith relatively early on in the battle, so therefore to cut down on a few of the runes that were going to be thrown out. Questing Knights, as you would expect, 2 of them performing very well, the other one not so much, but 90 kills also. The Royal Hippogriff Knights, not the biggest fan of this unit, but in this particular matchup they can be pretty cost effective if you get them in the right situation. Yeah, defense of the fleur de lis, 36 kills, helped shut down those artillery pieces, super cost effective, he even stuck around to the late game. And yeah, the peasant mobs, 22 kills against dwarfs. I'm not sure how that happened, but it happened apparently. For my opponent here, the Longbeards were a little bit rough in the front line. They kind of just got pummeled to death by the multiple successive cav charges from multiple angles. The Giant Slayers, on the other hand, both performing very well as expected, racking up quite a few kills, taking down a lot of the cavalry models. They were honestly probably responsible for most of the damage done to my army. The missile units, not so much. You can see they didn't quite perform as well, which is pretty rough for my opponent. But yeah, man, these Giant Slayers, absolute MVPs in this matchup, although they do have relatively low armor. I don't remember exactly what their melee defense is. Let's go ahead and just quickly check here. If we go to the Dwarves, or Karat Kadrin, because I like their color scheme a bit better. Giant Slayers, 30 melee defense, which is not terrible, but for something of that price, you know, they can definitely take some pretty severe damage, especially on a straight-up charge, with a high shock damage unit like shock cavalry, for example, like obviously what Bretonnia brings. If you just get charged in the face, you will take a lot of damage because of that 0 armor and only 30 melee defense. Also have very low mass, meaning you'll take the full impact damage, so it can potentially be rough, but I do like that pick quite a bit, and they were able to perform pretty well against me, just not quite enough at the end of the day. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for all the support with the ever-chosen Invitational. Sorry I didn't live up to your guys' hype, but, you know, that's just how it goes sometimes. Shetland Apache is a very good player, awesome member of the community, so no shame in losing to him, certainly. And well played to him. Once again, I am going to be casting both those games in the future. Just thought I'd give you this one for tonight. So hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. You already know all that jazz. So yeah, we'll see you next time.